You are lying in the dark. The room is silent. The house is still. But inside your chest, a riot is taking place. The heart hammers against the ribcage, a frantic bird trapped in a box of bone. Your breath comes in shallow, ragged hitches, insufficient and desperate. You are not running. You are not fighting. You are safe in your bed. Yet, every single alarm system in your biological machinery is screaming that you are about to die. You try to push the feeling down. You clench your jaw. You tell yourself to calm down. You wrestle with the sensation, demanding it vanish, begging the static in your head to clear. And in response, the volume rises. The heat in your veins spikes. The terror solidifies. This is the paradox. This is the trap. The moment you engaged in combat with the sensation, you lost the war. You have just committed the single most dangerous error a human being can make regarding their own nervous system. You have signaled to your brain that the anxiety itself is the threat. There is a mechanism deep within the subcortex of your brain, a piece of ancient hardware that has not received a firmware update in 200,000 years. It is watching you right now. It is listening to your internal monologue, and every time you try to fight your anxiety, every time you try to suppress the tremor or distract yourself from the intrusive thought, this mechanism takes notes. It learns. It interprets your resistance as confirmation. You are fighting. Therefore, there must be a predator. You are struggling. Therefore, the danger is real. By the end of this broadcast, you will understand why your attempts to cure yourself are actually the fuel source for your suffering. There is a specific biological switch, a hidden toggle in the central nervous system that you have unknowingly taped into the on position. We are going to find that switch. But be warned, turning it off requires you to do the one thing your survival instinct screams is impossible. Let us descend into the architecture of the panic. To understand why you must stop fighting, we must first look at the weapon you are fighting against. It is not a defect. It is not a chemical imbalance in the way you have been told. It is a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering. The anxiety response is the Ferrari of the human nervous system. It is designed for high performance, immediate survival. When you perceive a threat, a shadow in the alley, the screech of tires, your amygdala, two almond-shaped clusters of nuclei deep in the temporal lobes, initiates a hostile takeover of your body. This happens in milliseconds, faster than your conscious mind can process the word danger. The amygdala bypasses the logic centers. It sends a distress signal to the hypothalamus, which acts as the command center. The hypothalamus communicates with the rest of the body through the autonomic nervous system. It slams the gas pedal. The adrenal glands, sitting atop your kidneys like loaded cannons, flood your bloodstream with adrenaline and cortisol. This is not a mistake. This is a precision strike. Your pupils dilate to let in more light, narrowing your vision to focus solely on the threat. Your digestion shuts down completely because digesting a sandwich is not a priority when you are about to become a meal. Blood is shunted away from your skin and extremities, which is why your hands go cold and your face goes pale, and is pumped violently into the major muscle groups, the quads, the biceps, the heart. You are now a biological weapon primed for violence or escape. This state is designed to last for minutes, 10 minutes to fight the wolf, 10 minutes to outrun the rival tribe. Once the event is over, the parasympathetic nervous system engages the brake, and you metabolize the stress hormones. You return to baseline. But you are not fighting a wolf. You are fighting a thought. You are fighting a sensation in your stomach. You are fighting the concept of tomorrow. Here is the first clip.
A clinical reality that you must accept. The brain cannot distinguish between a physical predator and a psychological fear. To the amygdala, a difficult email, a social awkwardness, or a catastrophic what-if thought is identical to a saber-toothed tiger. When you resist these thoughts, when you brace against them, you validate them. You are standing in your living room, fully safe, but your body is redlining. You feel the adrenaline, and because there is no wolf to fight, your mind turns inward. It scans the body for the threat. It feels the racing heart and concludes, my heart is the threat. It feels the dizziness and concludes, my sanity is the threat. This is the point of divergence. This is where the pathology begins. It is not the initial flash of anxiety that destroys you. It is your reaction to it. You treat the sensation as an invader. You build a wall of tension to hold it back. This creates a secondary layer of anxiety, fear of the fear, the meta-fear. The initial anxiety was a biological flare, a simple signal. By fighting it, you have turned a flare into a forest fire. Consider the physics of a Chinese finger trap, a simple woven tube. You insert your index fingers into both ends. If you panic and try to pull your fingers out, the weave tightens. The harder you pull, the crushing pressure increases. Your instinct is to pull. Your survival drive says escape, but the mechanism of the trap is designed to exploit that instinct. The only way to release the fingers is to push in, to go deeper into the trap, to create slack. This is the counterintuitive horror of anxiety disorders. The cure feels like suicide. The cure requires you to lean into the catastrophe. Let's pause. Look at your hand. Clench it into a fist. Squeeze it as hard as you can, harder, until the knuckles turn white and the fingernails dig into the palm. Feel that tension traveling up the forearm. That is what you are doing to your mind every waking hour of the day. You are holding a psychological fist, believing that if you let go, you will fall apart. You believe the tension is holding you together. The exact opposite is true. The tension is the vibration that is shaking you apart. The energy required to maintain this suppression is astronomical. This brings us to the concept of the white bear. In a famous psychological experiment conducted by Daniel Wegner, participants were told to sit in a room and think about anything they wanted, with one prohibition: do not think of a white bear. If they did, they had to ring a bell. The result was a cacophony of bells. The more they tried to suppress the image, the more the brain hyper-focused on it to ensure it wasn't thinking about it. This is the ironic process theory. When you tell yourself, do not be anxious, you are assigning a monitor process in your brain to scan for anxiety. You have just hired a security guard to look for the thing you don't want to see. As long as you are trying to stop it, you are constantly scanning for it. And because you are scanning for it with fear, you will find it. You will interpret normal bodily noise, a skip in the heartbeat, a twitch in the eyelid, as the return of the monster. Let's go deeper into the clinical descent. Let's talk about the safety behavior trap. This is where your life begins to shrink. When you fight anxiety, you eventually realize you cannot win by sheer will, so you begin to negotiate. You start to avoid. You stop taking the elevator because it felt tight once. You stop driving on the highway because you felt dizzy there last month. You stop going to crowded restaurants. At first, this works. You avoid the trigger and the anxiety goes down. The relief is instantaneous. It is a chemical reward. But you have just signed a contract with the devil. This is negative reinforcement. By avoiding the situation and feeling relief, you have proven to your amygdala that the elevator was dangerous. You have confirmed the delusion. The amygdala updates.
It's threat map. Elevator equals death. Avoid at all costs. The next time you approach an elevator, the anxiety will be double what it was before. And now, the fear generalizes. If the elevator is dangerous, maybe the small room is dangerous. If the highway is dangerous, maybe the side streets are too. The territory of your life begins to recede. The borders close in. What starts as a fear of panic attacks in public ends with you trapped in a single room, the curtains drawn, unable to leave your sanctuary, which has become a prison. Agoraphobia is not a fear of the outside. It is the final, calcified result of fighting your own internal sensations for too long. It is the monuments you built to honor your fear. We must strip away the emotion and look at the neuroplasticity. Your brain is a dynamic organ. It rewires itself based on usage. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Every time you engage in the fight, the clenching, the worrying, the checking, the avoiding, you are myelinating the pathways of anxiety. You are wrapping those neural circuits in insulation, making them faster, more efficient, more dominant. You are building a superhighway for panic. You are actively training your brain to be an elite athlete of terror. And what of the physical toll? The body keeps the score. You cannot sustain a war footing indefinitely without collateral damage. The chronic flood of cortisol begins to erode the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and context. This is why when you are deep in the anxiety spiral, you cannot remember the times you were safe. You lose the context of your own life. The present moment is obliterated, replaced by a catastrophic future that hasn't happened. Your digestion slows to a halt, leading to IBS, ulcers, and nausea. Your immune system is suppressed because the body doesn't waste energy hunting viruses when it thinks it's hunting tigers. Your muscles, held in perpetual tectonic tension, develop chronic pain, tension headaches, and fibrous knots. You are exhausting your biological reserves, fighting a phantom. But the most terrifying symptom of fighting anxiety is dissociation, depersonalization, and derealization, dpdr. This is the point where the mind, overwhelmed by the constant signal of danger and the exhaustion of the fight, simply pulls the plug on reality.
You look in the mirror and the face staring back doesn't look like yours. Your hands feel like foreign objects. The world looks two-dimensional, like a film set or a dream. Sounds are muffled or tinny. You feel as though you are floating behind your eyes, a pilot trapped in a cockpit that has disconnected from the controls. This is not madness. You are not going crazy. This is a biological defense mechanism. It is the freeze response taken to the cognitive extreme. In the wild, if the gazelle cannot outrun the lion and cannot fight the lion, it plays dead. It disconnects from the pain of the impending death. Your brain, convinced by your constant fighting that the threat is catastrophic and inescapable, has initiated the numbing protocol. It is trying to protect you from the pain of the death it thinks is coming. By fighting the unreality, by checking the mirror constantly to see if you still exist, by pinching yourself, by engaging in frantic grounding exercises with a spirit of desperation, you are again signaling danger. Oh my God, I feel unreal. I must fight this. The brain sees the panic and maintains the dissociation shield. You are trapped in the funhouse mirror because you are trying to smash the glass. The pattern is undeniable. The fight is the problem. The resistance is the anchor. So what is the alternative? If we cannot fight and we cannot run, what is left? The answer lies in a concept so terrifyingly simple that the sophisticated modern mind rejects it. It is the float. It is the surrender. This is not a passive giving up. This is an active, aggressive surrender. It is the martial art of the
mind. It is judo, not boxing. In boxing, you block the punch. In judo, you pull the opponent toward you, using their momentum to throw them. You must change your relationship with the sensations. When the heart races, instead of saying stop, you must say faster. This is the paradoxical intention. You must call the bluff of the autonomic nervous system. Imagine the anxiety is a wave. You are standing in the ocean. If you stand rigid and brace against a 10-foot wave, it will smash you. It will tumble you, crush you against the sand, and drown you. But if you dive into the wave, if you go underneath the break, you pass through to the other side. The water is just as powerful, but you are not fighting its physics. You are aligning with them. We need to rewrite the script of the encounter. Next time the panic rises, next time the what-if thought lands, do not argue with it. Do not analyze it. Do not try to solve it. Treat the anxiety like a rude house guest. If you scream at the guest to leave, if you push them toward the door, if you call the police, you are creating a scene. The guest becomes the center of attention. But if you sit on the couch, continue reading your book, and allow the guest to scream in the corner, allowing them to break a vase or two, eventually the guest runs out of energy. They become bored. You must allow the cortisol to flow. You must feel the heat. You must say to your body, I am willing to feel this uncomfortable sensation. I am willing to have a racing heart. I am willing to feel dizzy. This communicates a radically new message to the amygdala. The amygdala looks up from its control panel. It sees the adrenaline pumping. It sees the heart racing. But it sees the conscious mind doing nothing. It sees the conscious mind refusing to engage in safety behaviors. It sees you staying in the elevator. It sees you staying in the meeting. This creates an expectancy violation. The amygdala expects you to flee. You do not flee. The amygdala expects you to die. You do not die. The predator does not attack. Slowly, reluctantly, the amygdala lowers the threat level. False alarm, it whispers. The adrenaline spigot is turned off. The parasympathetic system engages. You begin to cool down. This process is called habituation. It is the only cure. But habituation cannot happen if you are fighting. You cannot habituate to a cold swimming pool if you keep jumping out every time the water touches your toe. You have to stay in the water until your body regulates the temperature. You have to stay in the anxiety until it no longer matters. Now, a warning. This is not a magic trick. When you first stop fighting, the anxiety will likely spike. This is the extinction burst. The brain is throwing a tantrum. Why aren't you running? Don't you see the danger? I'll make it louder, it will scream. It will simulate heart attacks, strokes, insanity. It will play its greatest hits. This is the crucible. This is the valley of the shadow of death. You must walk through it. You must hold your ground, not with tension, but with a terrifying, limp looseness. You must become ragdoll. You must let the fire burn through you. There is a secret about feelings that the clinical textbooks gloss over, but the mystics have known for millennia. A feeling, fully felt,
has a lifespan of about 90 seconds. The chemical cascade of an emotion is a short-lived event. The reason your anxiety lasts for days, months, years is because you are re-triggering the start of that 90-second loop every millisecond with your resistance. You are keeping the lighter pressed against the fuse. If you take your thumb off the lighter, if you simply observe the explosion without judging it, it will burn out. It has to. It is biological law. The body tends toward homeostasis. It wants to return to baseline. You are the only thing standing in its way. Consider the metaphor of the Chinese finger trap again. The solution is to push in, to go towards.
Enter. In the center, there is room. In the center, there is slack. You must cultivate an attitude of, so what? My heart is racing. So what? I might faint. So what? I'll wake up on the floor. I feel like I'm going crazy. So what? Let's go crazy then. Let's see what that looks like. You strip the monster of its teeth by offering yourself to it. When you say, kill me if you're going to kill me, but I am done running, you become immortal. The anxiety requires your fear to exist. It requires your belief in its authority. When you look at the sensation with cold, clinical curiosity, oh look, my hands are shaking. Isn't that interesting biology? You sever the fuel line. This brings us to the concept of the observer self. You are not your thoughts. You are not your sensations. You are the consciousness that perceives them. The sky is not the weather. The sky contains the storm, but the sky is not damaged by the lightning or the rain. You are the sky. The anxiety is just weather. Violent weather, perhaps, terrifying weather, but it is passing through. When you fight, you are trying to push the clouds away with your hands. You are screaming at the wind. It is futile and exhausting. When you stop fighting, you become the vast, empty blue behind the clouds. You watch them form, you watch them rage, and you watch them dissolve. Let's address the deep question that haunts the anxious mind. What if it never goes away? This is the ultimate threat, the fear of permanence. The answer is the most dangerous and liberating truth of all. It doesn't matter if it goes away. As long as you demand that it goes away, you are enslaved by it. You are putting conditions on your life. I will live my life when the anxiety is gone. I will go to that party when I feel calm. This conditionality is the cage. You must live your life with the anxiety. You must put the anxiety in your pocket and take it with you. You must drive the car with the anxiety screaming in the back seat. You simply don't let it touch the steering wheel. When you stop caring if it's there, it ceases to be a problem. And paradoxically, when it ceases to be a problem, it begins to fade. This is the ultimate irony. You can only be free of it when you are willing to have it forever. We are approaching the revelation, the secret alluded to in the beginning. The secret is this: anxiety is not a disorder of feeling too much fear. It is a disorder of intolerance to uncertainty. The fight you are waging is a fight for certainty. You want to know 100% that you are safe. You want to know 100% that you won't make a fool of yourself. You want to know 100% that you don't have a disease. But certainty is an illusion. It does not exist in this universe. Chaos is the baseline of reality. By fighting anxiety, you are trying to play God. You are trying to control the uncontrollable variables of existence. The moment you stop fighting is the moment you accept your humanity. You accept that you are fragile. You accept that you might get sick. You might be rejected. You might fail. And in that acceptance, the noise stops. The war ends, because there is nothing left to defend. The silence that follows the surrender is not the silence of the grave. It is the silence of the eye of the storm. It is a vibrant, alive silence. So, tonight, when the feeling comes, and it will come, do not brace. Do not clench. Open your hands. Drop your shoulders. Exhale. Invite it in. Give it a name. Sit it down. Watch it with the cold, clinical curiosity of a scientist observing a specimen. Feel the adrenaline. Feel the heat. And whisper to the darkness, is that all you've got? Do not reset the clock. Let the 90 seconds burn. And watch in disbelief as the monster shrinks into a shadow and the shadow dissolves into the light. The vault is closed. The protocol is yours. Stop fighting. Start living.